March 19, 1943. A Luftwaffe technical intelligence facility outside Berlin. Oberingenieur Klaus Richter placed his magnifying loupe carefully on the workbench and stepped back from the device that had consumed 3 weeks of his professional life. Before him, partially disassembled across 2 meters of laboratory table, lay the most sophisticated mechanical computer he had ever encountered. The American Norden Mark XV bombsight, recovered from a B-17 that crashed near Bremen in January, represented engineering that defied every assumption German military planners had made about American technical capability. Richter had spent 12 years designing fire control systems for the Kriegsmarine. He had examined British bomb sites, studied captured Soviet equipment, and consulted with the finest precision instrument makers in Germany. Nothing had prepared him for this. The gyroscopic stabilization system alone contained innovations that German manufacturers had concluded were theoretically possible, but practically unachievable given the precision tolerances required. The analog computer that calculated ballistic solutions incorporated more than 2,000 individual components, many machined to tolerances measured in 10,000ths of an inch. This level of precision engineering, applied to a combat instrument that would be subjected to vibration, temperature extremes, and the violence of aerial combat, suggested manufacturing capabilities that fundamentally altered German understanding of American industrial capacity. That afternoon, Richter would submit a technical report to the Reichsluftfahrtministerium that would circulate among the highest levels of German military leadership. His conclusion was unambiguous. The Americans had not merely built a superior bomb sight, they had demonstrated mastery of precision manufacturing at scales Germany could not match. If American factories could produce such instruments in quantities sufficient to equip thousands of bombers, German assumptions about American industrial sophistication required complete revision. The delay in recognizing this reality, the years spent dismissing American engineering as crude and unsophisticated, had cost Germany any possibility of developing effective countermeasures. By the time German intelligence understood what they faced, American strategic bombing had become a force that would systematically dismantle the German war economy. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the story, hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comments from where in the world you are watching from today. The story of the Norden bombsight begins not with German discovery but with American obsession. Carl Norden, a Dutch engineer who immigrated to America in 1904, spent more than 15 years perfecting a device that would transform strategic bombing from an exercise in approximation into something approaching precision. His work represented the convergence of multiple technological revolutions: gyroscopic stabilization, analog computing, and optical precision engineering. Born in Java in 1880, Norden studied engineering in Switzerland before joining the Dutch East Indies Army. His early work involved surveying and navigation, disciplines that demanded absolute precision. After immigrating to the United States, he joined the Sperry Gyroscope Company, where he developed specialized instruments for naval fire control. By 1921, he had established his own company with a singular focus: creating a bomb sight that could deliver ordnance with accuracy previously thought impossible. The technical challenge was formidable. An aircraft traveling at 200 miles per hour at an altitude of 20,000 feet released a bomb that would fall for approximately 40 seconds before impact. During that time, the bomb would be affected by the aircraft's velocity, wind drift, air density, and the ballistic characteristics of the specific ordnance. Calculating the precise release point required solving differential equations in real time while compensating for the aircraft's motion in 3 dimensions. Early bomb sights were essentially crude mechanical calculators that provided rough approximations. Accuracy was measured in thousands of feet. Hitting a specific building was nearly impossible. Hitting a specific city was the realistic objective. Norden's vision was different. He proposed creating a stabilized platform that would remain level regardless of aircraft motion, coupled with an analog computer that could perform the necessary ballistic calculations automatically. The bombardier would track the target through an optical sight. The bomb sight would continuously calculate the release point, accounting for all relevant variables. When the aircraft reached the precise moment of optimal release, the bomb sight would automatically drop the bombs. Development consumed 2 decades and more, than $1.5 billion in modern equivalents. The technical obstacles seemed insurmountable. Gyroscopes precise enough to maintain stable reference required manufacturing tolerances that pushed the limits of American precision engineering. The analog computer demanded more than 2,000 individual components, each manufactured to specifications that allowed no meaningful deviation. The optical system needed clarity sufficient to identify targets from 4 miles above the Earth's surface. Assembly required craftsmen capable of working to tolerances measured in fractions of thousandths of an inch. Testing revealed that even minute imperfections in any component would cascade through the system, destroying accuracy. Every part had to be perfect. Every assembly had to be exact. The manufacturing challenge was extraordinary. By 1933, after more than a decade of development, Norden had produced working prototypes that demonstrated revolutionary capability. Tests at Aberdeen Proving Ground showed the Mark 11 bombsight could place bombs within 75 feet of a target from 20,000 feet under ideal conditions. This represented a quantum leap in precision. Previous bombsights achieved accuracy measured in thousands of feet. The Norden achieved accuracy measured in tens of feet. The implications for strategic bombing were profound. With such precision, bombers could target specific industrial facilities rather than general urban areas. Rail yards, power plants, factories, and refineries could be struck with reasonable certainty of hitting the intended target. Strategic bombing could become a scalpel rather than a hammer. The United States Army Air Corps recognized Norden's potential immediately and classified the entire program at the highest security level. The bombsight was designated more secret than secret, a classification above top secret that restricted knowledge to a tiny circle of authorized personnel. Security measures surrounding the Norden exceeded those for any other military technology until the Manhattan Project. Bombardiers were required to take a formal oath, pledging to protect the bombsight's secrets with their lives. Before every mission, the Norden was installed in the aircraft under armed guard. After landing, it was immediately removed and returned to secure storage. If an aircraft was damaged and forced to land in neutral territory, the bombardier's first duty was to destroy the bombsight using thermite grenades designed specifically for this purpose. Under no circumstances could the Norden fall into enemy hands intact. The security obsession reflected genuine strategic concerns. American military planners understood that precision bombing capability provided decisive advantage. If Germany or Japan acquired Norden technology and developed their own precision bombsights, the strategic balance would shift dramatically. German bombers with Norden-level accuracy could devastate British industrial targets. Japanese bombers could strike American facilities in the Philippines and Hawaii with precision impossible using Japanese equipment. The Norden had to remain an American monopoly. Production began in 1937 at facilities in New York, operated by Carl L. Norden Incorporated. Manufacturing the bombsight required precision machining capabilities available at only a handful of American facilities. Bath and Stroud of New York manufactured the optical components. The gyroscopes came from Sperry Gyroscope Company. Final assembly took place at Norden's facility under conditions of absolute secrecy. Each bombsight required approximately 80 hours of skilled labor to assemble. Master craftsmen worked with magnifying equipment, assembling components with tolerances so tight that thermal expansion from body heat could cause misalignment. The gyroscopic stabilizer alone contained more than 300 precision parts. The analog computer incorporated gear, trains with backlash measured in arc seconds. The optical system used lenses ground to specifications that challenged the capabilities of America's finest optical shops. Quality control was obsessive. Every component was individually tested. Every assembly was verified. Completed bombsights underwent extensive calibration and testing before acceptance. Rejection rates ran above 20%. Bombsights that failed any specification were disassembled and rebuilt. There was no tolerance for anything less than perfection. By 1941, when America entered the war, production had reached approximately 100 bombsights per month. This was entirely inadequate for the massive strategic bombing campaign that American war planners envisioned. The Army Air Forces planned to field thousands of heavy bombers. Each bomber needed a Norden bombsight. Production had to increase 50-fold. The challenge was unprecedented. The Norden was not a weapon that could be mass-produced using conventional manufacturing. It required precision engineering at scales never before attempted. Components had to be manufactured by the tens of thousands, while maintaining tolerances that allowed no deviation. Assembly had to be performed by craftsmen capable of work measured under microscopes. And all of this had to happen under absolute secrecy, while training tens of thousands of bombardiers to use the instrument. American industry rose to the challenge with characteristic intensity. Additional manufacturing facilities were established. Remington Rand received contracts to produce optical components. Bendix Aviation manufactured gyroscopes. Dozens of subcontractors produced individual components under security arrangements that prevented them from knowing the final product's purpose. By 1943, American factories were producing more than 2,000 Norden bombsights monthly. Over the course of the war, more than 50,000 Mark XV bombsights were manufactured, along with thousands of earlier Mark XI and Mark XIII models. The total program cost exceeded $1.5 billion $1945, making the Norden one of the most expensive military programs of the entire war, surpassed only by the Manhattan Project and the B-29 Superfortress program. Training bombardiers to use the Norden required equal investment. The Army Air Forces established specialized bombardier schools where students spent months learning to operate the complex instrument. The training curriculum emphasized that the Norden was not merely a bombsight but a precision instrument that demanded understanding of optics, gyroscopic principles, and ballistic computation. Students learned to perform pre-flight checks that involved dozens of verification steps. They practiced tracking targets through the optical sight, while the bombsight's computer calculated release points. They studied the effects of wind, altitude, and temperature on bomb ballistics. They learned emergency procedures for situations where the bombsight malfunctioned or was damaged by enemy fire. The oath ceremony that concluded bombardier training became legendary. Students placed their hands on the Norden bombsight itself and swore to protect its secrets. The oath specified that if forced to abandon their aircraft, they would destroy the bombsight first, even at risk to their own lives. Instructors emphasized that the Norden represented American technological superiority. Its secrecy was a strategic imperative. Graduates received formal bombardier wings and the knowledge that they carried responsibility for one of America's most important military secrets. By 1943, more than 50,000 men had taken the oath and qualified as Norden bombardiers. The operational reality of precision bombing proved more complex than pre-war theories suggested. The Norden bombsight could achieve extraordinary accuracy under ideal conditions: clear weather, no enemy opposition, stable aircraft, and adequate time for the bombardier to establish the proper tracking solution. Combat provided none of these conditions. Over Europe, cloud cover obscured targets for weeks at a time. German fighters attacked bomber formations, forcing evasive maneuvers that disrupted bombing runs. Anti-aircraft fire filled the sky with exploding shells that rocked aircraft and shattered concentration. Norden's theoretical precision of 75 feet from 20,000 feet assumed conditions that rarely existed in combat. Statistical analysis of bombing accuracy told a sobering story. During 1943, American 8th Air Force bombers attacking targets in occupied Europe achieved an average circular error probable of approximately 1,000 feet. This meant that half of all bombs dropped fell within 1,000 feet of the aiming point, and half fell outside that radius. This was dramatically better than earlier bombsights achieved, but far short of the Norden's theoretical capability. Specific facility targeting remained difficult. Hitting a particular building required multiple aircraft dropping simultaneously, accepting that some bombs would miss while others found the target. The reality was that precision bombing as originally envisioned was impossible given combat conditions, but the Norden still provided a decisive advantage. German bombsights achieved accuracy measured in miles, not hundreds of feet. The Luftwaffe 7D, Germany's most advanced bombsight, was a simpler mechanical device that required the bombardier to manually adjust for wind and aircraft motion. It was effective for area bombing but lacked Norden's computational sophistication. British bombsights were similarly limited. The Mark XE bombsight, used by RAF Bomber Command, was adequate for night area bombing but could not approach Norden precision. American bombers could strike specific industrial complexes with reasonable confidence that some bombs would hit critical facilities. This capability, even imperfectly realized, made American strategic bombing uniquely effective. German intelligence recognized Norden's importance from the first American bombing raids over Europe. Luftwaffe technical intelligence units received standing orders to recover any American bomb site from crashed aircraft. Rewards were offered for intact devices. Special recovery teams were dispatched to crash sites before regular salvage crews arrived. The orders were explicit. The American bomb site was a priority intelligence target, second only to radar and code-breaking equipment. For more than a year, these efforts failed. American bombardiers, even when killed in crashes, had typically destroyed their bomb sites before death, or the crashes themselves had damaged the instruments beyond recovery. Thermite grenades designed specifically to destroy the Norden proved effective. The devices that German intelligence recovered were melted ruins that revealed little about the original design. The breakthrough came in January 1943, when a B-17 Flying Fortress from the 306th Bombardment Group crash-landed near Bremen after sustaining heavy damage during a raid on the city's submarine pens. The aircraft pancaked into a frozen field with sufficient control that the fuselage remained largely intact. German troops reached the wreckage within minutes. The bombardier, Lieutenant Robert Harrison, had been killed instantly when anti-aircraft fire penetrated the nose section. He had not destroyed the Norden. For the first time, German intelligence obtained a complete, functional American bomb site. The device was transported under armed guard to the Luftwaffe Technical Intelligence Facility outside Berlin, where Oberingenieur Klaus Richter led the examination team. Richter was among Germany's foremost experts in precision instruments. He had designed fire control systems for naval gunnery that were considered the finest in the world. He had examined captured British and Soviet equipment and consistently found German equivalents superior. He approached the American bomb site, expecting to find crude engineering compensated by American industrial brute force. What he discovered shattered every assumption he held about American technical sophistication. The first shock was the gyroscopic stabilization system. The Norden used a two-axis gyroscope mounted in a stabilized platform that maintained level reference regardless of aircraft attitude. This was not revolutionary in concept. German engineers understood gyroscopic stabilization, but the execution revealed manufacturing precision that German facilities could not match. The gyroscope rotor was machined from a single piece of steel to tolerances measured in 10,000ths of an inch. The bearings used dual pivots similar to those in precision watches, but manufactured to specifications that exceeded anything German instrument makers produced. The entire assembly was balanced so precisely that it would spin for more than 15 minutes after power was removed, all while maintaining stable reference within 1/10 of 1 degree. Richter's team disassembled the gyroscope assembly with extreme care, measuring each component with precision instruments. The manufacturing quality was extraordinary. Every surface showed careful hand finishing. Tolerances were held to limits that German production facilities achieved only in laboratory conditions, never in production quantities. The bearings showed no measurable play. The gears meshed with backlash measured in arc seconds. This was craftsmanship applied at industrial scale, something German engineers had concluded was impossible given the cost and time requirements. The analog computer was even more remarkable. It occupied the lower section of the bomb site and contained more than 2,000 individual components arranged in a mechanical calculation system that continuously solved differential equations describing bomb ballistics. The bombardier input variables include altitude, airspeed, wind direction, and wind velocity. The computer incorporated these inputs with the gyroscope's stable reference and the optical sight's target tracking to calculate the precise moment of bomb release. The mechanism was staggeringly complex. Gear trains transferred rotational inputs through differential assemblies. Cam followers traced curves that represented ballistic functions. Spring-loaded mechanisms compensated for mechanical hysteresis. The entire assembly performed calculations that would require several minutes using pencil and paper, completing them continuously in real time while compensating for changes in aircraft motion and atmospheric conditions. German engineers spent days tracing the mechanical computation pathways, documenting how each input propagated through the system. The sophistication was unprecedented. The Norden didn't merely calculate a release point. It predicted the bomb's trajectory throughout its fall, accounting for the decreasing air density at altitude, the increasing effect of wind as the bomb descended, and the complex interaction between the bomb's ballistic coefficient and atmospheric conditions. The calculation was iterative, continuously updating as conditions changed. This level of computational sophistication, implemented in purely mechanical form, demonstrated engineering capability that German technical intelligence had not believed American industry possessed. The optical system completed the picture of American precision engineering. The Bombsight used a telescopic sight with magnification, adjustable from 1.6 to 8 times normal vision. The optics were ground to specifications that provided clarity sufficient to identify vehicles from 20,000 feet. Anti-reflection coatings, a technology Germany had pioneered but struggled to implement in production quantities, were applied to every lens surface. The sight picture remained stable, regardless of aircraft vibration due to isolation mounting that decoupled the optics from the airframe. German bombardiers, using the Luftwaffe 7D, struggled to maintain target visibility through optical systems that lacked such refinement. Richter's team conducted functionality tests using a specially prepared test rig that simulated aircraft motion. Norden performed flawlessly. They introduced simulated wind conditions, altitude changes, and airspeed variations. The Bombsight's computer tracked every input and adjusted the calculated release point accordingly. They compared Norden's solutions against calculations performed by trained mathematicians. The Bombsight's answers were consistently more accurate because it accounted for second-order effects that human computers typically ignored. The device was not merely a bombsight, it was a precision instrument that represented the apex of mechanical analog computation. The manufacturing implications troubled Richter more than the technical sophistication. Individual precision instruments could be built by master craftsmen given unlimited time. The Norden demonstrated that American industry could manufacture such instruments in production quantities. Every component showed evidence of standardized manufacturing. Parts were interchangeable. The assembly showed no evidence of hand-fitting or custom adjustments. This meant American factories had achieved precision manufacturing at scales that allowed mass production of instruments requiring tolerances previously achievable only through individual craftsmanship. If American industry could produce thousands of Nordens, maintaining such quality standards, then American manufacturing capability exceeded German assumptions by orders of magnitude. Richter's technical report, submitted on March 26, 1943, circulated through Luftwaffe intelligence and reached the Reichsluftfahrtministerium within days. His conclusion was unambiguous. The American Norden bombsight represented precision engineering and manufacturing sophistication that Germany had not anticipated. The device's complexity and the quality of its construction suggested that American industrial capacity, far from being the crude mass production system German propaganda depicted, included precision manufacturing capabilities equal or superior to Germany's finest instrument makers, applied at scales Germany could not match. The implications for strategic assessment were profound. If Americans could manufacture such instruments in the quantities necessary to equip thousands of bombers, German assumptions about American technical limitations required complete revision. The response from German leadership revealed the cognitive dissonance created by Norden's discovery. Some officials dismissed the findings, suggesting the captured bombsight was an experimental prototype, not a production instrument. This proved incorrect when additional Nordens were recovered from subsequent crashes, all showing identical manufacturing quality. Others argued that even with superior bombsights, American bombing accuracy remained inferior to German expectations, suggesting the instrument's theoretical capability exceeded its practical effectiveness. This was partially correct but missed the strategic point. The Norden provided Americans with bombing precision no other nation could match, even if that precision fell short of theoretical perfection. A few voices, including Richter himself, recognized the deeper implication. The Norden was evidence that American industry had achieved technological sophistication that German intelligence had systematically underestimated. This error was not limited to bomb sites. If Americans could mass-produce precision instruments like the Norden, what else were they producing that German intelligence had dismissed as impossible? The question haunted German strategic planning throughout the remainder of the war as American technological advantages accumulated across multiple domains. If you find this story engaging, please take a moment to subscribe and enable notifications. It helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. German efforts to develop countermeasures faced immediate obstacles. The most obvious response was to develop an equivalent German bombsight. This proved impossible. German precision instrument manufacturers could replicate the Norden's design, given unlimited resources and time. But Germany lacked the industrial capacity to manufacture such instruments in meaningful quantities while maintaining quality standards. Zeiss and other German optical firms were already operating at maximum capacity, producing rangefinders, periscopes, and other military optical equipment. Diverting resources to bombsight production would compromise other critical programs. More fundamentally, the manufacturing precision required exceeded what German production facilities could achieve at scale. An alternative approach involved developing defenses that would degrade the Norden's effectiveness. If American bombers could be forced to bomb from higher altitudes, accuracy would decrease. German fighter tactics evolved to focus on high-altitude interception, attempting to disrupt American formations before they reached their bombing runs. This proved difficult because American fighters increasingly provided effective escort. Anti-aircraft tactics emphasized forcing bombers to take evasive action during the final approach, disrupting the stable flight required for the Norden to calculate accurate solutions. These tactics achieved some success, but could not neutralize the fundamental accuracy advantage the Norden provided. Psychological operations attempted to exploit the gap between Norden's theoretical precision and combat reality. German propaganda highlighted instances where American bombs missed their targets, struck civilian areas, or caused collateral damage. Radio broadcasts mocked American claims of precision bombing, pointing to destroyed hospitals and schools as evidence that the vaunted Norden bombsight was propaganda rather than genuine capability. These efforts had some effect on neutral opinion, but did nothing to reduce the actual military effectiveness of American strategic bombing. The captured Norden also revealed vulnerabilities that German defenders attempted to exploit. The bombsight required stable, level flight during the bombing run, typically lasting between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. During this period, the aircraft was predictable and vulnerable. German fighter pilots were instructed to concentrate attacks during this phase, when American bombers could not maneuver without aborting their bombing runs. Anti-aircraft batteries calculated typical bombing run parameters and concentrated fire accordingly. These tactics increased American casualties, but could not prevent the bombers from reaching and striking their targets. By mid-1943, the strategic bombing campaign against Germany had escalated to levels that German defenses could not sustain. American 8th Air Force bombers struck in daylight, using the Norden's precision to target specific industrial facilities. British bombers attacked at night, using area bombing techniques that complemented American precision strikes. The combined offensive systematically dismantled German industrial capacity. Ball-bearing plants, synthetic fuel facilities, aircraft factories, and marshalling yards were struck repeatedly. German fighter production, despite desperate efforts to disperse manufacturing, declined as key facilities were destroyed. Fuel production collapsed as refineries were systematically demolished. The accuracy statistics, while falling short of pre-war expectations, were sufficient for strategic effect. By 1944, American bombers were placing approximately 40% of their bombs within 1,000 feet of the aiming point under combat conditions. This was adequate to ensure that concentrated attacks on specific facilities would result in significant damage. Multiple raids on the same target each placing dozens of bombs within the target area, achieved cumulative destruction that rendered facilities inoperable. The Schweinfurt ball-bearing plants, attacked repeatedly despite horrific bomber losses, saw production decline by 67%. The Ploiești oil refineries in Romania, struck by both American and British forces, lost more than 80% of refining capacity. German prisoners of war, interviewed by American intelligence after capture, frequently mentioned the psychological impact of American bombing precision. Luftwaffe pilots described the fear of approaching American bomber formations, knowing that defensive fire would be accurate and intense. German industrial workers reported that the precision of American attacks created terror because specific facilities were targeted, repeatedly. Unlike area bombing, which affected entire cities somewhat randomly, precision bombing meant that if you worked at a targeted factory, you faced near certainty of eventual attack. The psychological toll was significant. The captured Norden also influenced German technical intelligence priorities. Having discovered that American precision instrument manufacturing exceeded expectations, German intelligence intensified efforts to obtain other American military technology. Proximity fuses, which German engineers had concluded were impossible to build in production quantities, became priority targets after the Norden demonstrated American capability to mass-produce sophisticated devices. Radar systems, previously dismissed as crude American copies of British designs, received more serious analysis after the Norden revealed American electronics sophistication. The Norden effectively recalibrated German understanding of what American industry could achieve. By 1944, German industry was collapsing under combined pressure from strategic bombing, raw material shortages, and the loss of skilled labor to military conscription. American precision bombing, enabled by the Norden Bombsight, systematically destroyed bottleneck industries that German production depended upon. Transportation networks were shattered, preventing distribution of materials between factories. Power generation facilities were struck, leaving industrial complexes without electricity. Synthetic fuel production virtually ceased, starving the Luftwaffe and Wehrmacht of gasoline and diesel. The cumulative effect was industrial paralysis that no amount of German ingenuity or effort could overcome. Klaus Richter, the engineer who had first examined the captured Norden, witnessed the systematic destruction of German industry from his position in technical intelligence. By late 1944, his reports grew increasingly pessimistic. The precision of American attacks, he wrote, demonstrated not merely superior bomb sites, but comprehensive superiority in manufacturing, training, and operational doctrine. German defenses had inflicted terrible casualties on American bomber crews, but could not prevent the bombers from reaching their targets and destroying them with increasing precision. The mathematical calculation was inescapable. America could sustain losses that would have paralyzed German offensive capability while continuously improving bombing accuracy and increasing force size. The final months of the war saw American bombing accuracy continue improving as crews gained experience and tactics evolved. By early 1945, average circular error probably had decreased to approximately 600 feet, despite increasingly desperate German defensive efforts. New bombsight variants incorporating improved computing mechanisms and refined optical systems entered service. The Norden Mark XV gave way to improved models that incorporated lessons from combat experience. American bombardiers developed techniques that maximized the Norden's capability, including extended tracking runs that allowed the computer to refine its calculations before release. German technical intelligence continued recovering Norden bomb sites from crashed aircraft throughout the war. Each examination confirmed the initial findings. American precision manufacturing remained consistently excellent. No evidence of quality degradation appeared despite the massive production quantities. This consistency troubled German engineers more than the sophistication itself. Mass production typically involved compromises that reduced quality to achieve quantity. The Norden showed no such compromises. American industry had achieved something German planners considered impossible: mass production of precision instruments without quality degradation. The post-war assessment of the Norden bomb site's effectiveness remains controversial among historians. Critics point to the gap between theoretical precision and combat accuracy. arguing that the Norden failed to deliver the war-winning capability that justified its enormous cost. Defenders note that American strategic bombing achieved unprecedented accuracy compared to all other combatants, and that this accuracy, while imperfect, was sufficient to systematically destroy German industrial capacity. The Norden cost more than $1.5 billion to develop and produce. Whether this expenditure was justified depends on how one calculates the bombsight's contribution to victory. What is indisputable is the psychological and strategic impact of German recognition that American precision instrument manufacturing exceeded their assumptions. The captured Norden forced German technical intelligence to revise their understanding of American industrial capability upward across all domains. This revision came too late to affect German strategic planning meaningfully, but contributed to the growing sense among informed German leadership that the war against America was unwinnable. When a nation that you assumed had crude industrial capacity demonstrates the ability to mass-produce precision instruments that your finest craftsmen struggle to replicate individually, the implications extend far beyond the specific weapon system. Klaus Richter survived the war and was interviewed extensively by American technical intelligence teams during the occupation. His recollections of examining the first captured Norden remained vivid decades later. He described the moment of realization that American manufacturing had achieved something German industry could not match as a profound shock that undermined his confidence in German technical superiority. The device before him represented not merely clever engineering, but systematic excellence applied at industrial scale. It suggested an opponent with resources and capabilities that German propaganda had consistently misrepresented, and German intelligence had failed to accurately assess. Thank you for watching. For more detailed historical breakdowns, check out the other videos on your screen now, and don't forget to subscribe.